I have information.
Hello!
Hello!
Welcome back to episode 3 of Blunt Topics. Today we're going to be talking about the Manhattan Project, a little bit related to our previous endeavor with the 509th Bomb Brigade.
I missed.
Yeah, you did.
You missed
you
a
did.
lot.
What's up with that?
Podcast, man.
So, I've been sick for about, let's see. Now I'm fine. Thank goodness. But, let's see. Did I get sent home Friday? The first time? I threw up one time at work. I thought it was just McDonald's. It wasn't just McDonald's. I threw up the rest of that day. I still thought I had food poisoning. Didn't. It lasted till this Tuesday.
Oh, shit.
And finally, I got to go back to work. It's terrible. That was not a good day or a good time. My paycheck's gonna suck.
Yeah, that's
My paycheck's gonna suck so bad.
That's the worst part about being sick. Just the days missed of work.
It's like, you get to go home, but you still feel like shit, and your paycheck sucks. Like,
Yeah,
I feel
it's
like
not
dumb
a good time.
Losing money. Need the money.
Need the money.
Got bills.
Always.
Oh, how you been?
oh, I've been alright. Not really much to say, work's the same.
Anything interesting you worked on?
Is there anything interesting I worked on?
Semi-tires.
Yeah, semi-tires suck.
Heavy.
Horrible.
Yeah, they do.
Heavy some bitches.
Heavy. Had to crawl underneath. Hit the jack with a hammer because it was stuck. Yeah. Yeah, wicked
Oh,
shit
no.
went down.
Not good.
Would it not go down all the way?
So we used the bottle jack on the front axle. Or not the front, but the axle in front of the back.
Oh
yeah.
my gosh.
Yeah.
I didn't get to see how that got.
I don't know
Yeah.
why he put it where he did instead of just on the axle. But he
Did he
put
put it
like,
on one of the U-bolts?
No. He put it on, like, basically it looked like the differential where the axle comes together. He put it there.
Like,
Under it.
in the front? Like on the front axle?
The axle in front of the back axle.
Yeah, no, that's not. He only needed the one side up.
Yeah.
That's not a good
Well-
idea. That bottle jack's not. Dude, how did it not blow up?
I don't know.
Did it
but-
lift it?
Yeah. It took it like a champ. Lifted up both sides the first time. Yeah. But
Holy shit.
yeah, the fucking whack thing that happened. We had these boards under it, like big ass boards, like 4 inches thick and like that big. And I thought he was gonna stick it under the jack. He didn't. He tried to put it on top of the jack and lift it up like that. And
Well,
he's like, it's not gonna work. And
I
was
mean-
like,
That would have worked.
That
it didn't.
it could work either way. I mean, I've seen it done both ways. I've done it both ways.
I don't think it would work like that.
I didn't
Or
get to
you
see the
didn't see it,
situation.
yeah.
no.
But he was like, it's not gonna work, and I was like, put it under the jack.
Did it work?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Well, you got him done.
Mm.
That's a good deal. Topic.
How was
I'm
your
glad.
Now.
Oh, I was gonna say.
Oh
glad,
shit! Yeah, no, you.
I'm glad you guys understand what the fuck you guys are talking about. 'Cause
Yeah.
It's all
I
wah
got it.
wah wah. I don't know.
Axles and wheels and jacks.
What about that 224 squares?
Oh,
yeah.
Lord. Before that, the last 2 days, I've done things that I didn't need to do. Or I did it, and then they're like, yeah, no, we're not going to use that. So, 2 days of working for absolutely zero productivity. And then today, at the end of the day, I had to make 224 2x2-inch squares.
That are roughly half an inch thick.
It was precisely like 0.4 whatever, 0.44
is what we're at.
0.47.
Yeah.
Fucking lots of planing, lots of sanding. Not lots of sanding. It was like 2 minutes of sanding. But just lots of cutting squares. I'm not even done. I'm making a little pyramid. I don't know if you saw it. I stacked up four squares, and then I made like a 5x5 grid, and I'm on the 4x4. I think I'm on the 3x3, and it's almost done. I'm still gonna have more squares. Like, the pyramid's not gonna be enough.
That's a lot of squares.
It's a lot of squares.
It's a lot of squares, and then I gotta put them on doors in every corner.
You gotta rub it down again.
And then I gotta sand all the doors that I've already routed and flat sanded because I forgot about the squares. Yeah!
Good times.
Productivity! Woo! I mean, your week's been about the same as mine, Dustin.
I just built doors.
Yeah. Nothing too bad this week. No
The
tense
shop
moments.
flooded.
Oh!
That's not okay.
Yeah, I think that was yesterday?
Yesterday.
Yeah, we get in there, and there's just water, like, probably an inch and a half of
in
water.
some places.
Yeah, and for the first hour of the day, we pretty much swept up water and threw dust on water, sawdust.
Scooped up water.
And scooped up soggy sawdust and put it in trash cans. That was a whole ordeal. John kind of stood there and watched.
Yeah,
Dude,
the whole
I had
time.
to do that. I had to do that at Valvoline, except it was fucking oil.
Yeah, but I bet you had a squeegee.
Yes, but the floor was not great.
Oh.
Dude, I bet that was terrible to walk on. What, like, do they have a slick floor? Like a...
Yeah, like polished, but like
Yeah, I bet
parts
that
of it
was
are like
fucking-
broken and shit, big old cracks and shit.
Oh, I bet that was bad, dude.
Yeah. Yeah, that took.
I bet that took a while.
Yeah, I was the
that
one
was
cleaning
slick.
it while everybody else worked. Yeah, I was doing it by myself for like an hour, and the floor still was like sticky for a while afterwards. Yeah, like I didn't really clean the oil; I just kind of pushed it. So yeah,
I mean,
Makes sense.
that's about all you can do with oil.
That's
Just
probably
push
the
it around.
the best first step, yeah. Then I'd hit it with brake clean, loads of brake clean. Just take the whole 55-gallon drum, dump it on the floor,
dude,
Mop.
wash it.
if I did that, I would slip and die. I did not have slip-proof shoes. These shoes that I'm wearing right now, that are all like worn on the bottom,
Mm-hmm.
those are what I was wearing. Those nice foamy ones.
Oh my.
Yeah.
Well, I guess we have a topic to talk about.
Yes, we do.
Do we?
We do.
Interesting.
It could be, I don't know.
Something
What's it
about
about?
something
I don't
about a bomb. Something about splitting the atom for the first time.
There was a
Possibly?
second time.
There was a lot of times after
Oh.
the first time. Once we successfully did it the first time, we were like, let's make everything into nuke. I'll get into that later. I got an interesting thing to tell you guys about.
I like it. I like it.
Go on.
Oh, okay. I
Nah,
guess
I
thought
I'll
you were
start.
gonna tell us about it. My bad.
No, that's later. I've got some interesting details. The Manhattan Project was, like we said, it's about splitting the atom, making nukes, a lot of espionage, diplomatic problems, people panicking, freaking out that we're gonna die any second. Before recent years, it was the first time that the death clock was pushed to its limits of 3 minutes till midnight. And then recent times we're at 90 seconds. But it was a big ordeal. They basically it was around World War II, and the US started panicking because of Germany, obviously, the one enemy of everyone. We started panicking, and we wanted to make a weapon that we could wipe them off the earth if we needed to, basically. And there were a lot of scientist refugees fleeing to America. I mean, because America, land of the free, you know?
Right.
Ooh, ooh, ooh.
Hoorah.
Hoorah. They came here and they're like, hey, we've heard of this idea, right? Of splitting a molecule. and possibly making it split into multiple other molecules to the point where it just go boom. You know? And the government was like, yeah, I'm liking what you're saying. I'm pulling out the credit card. You can have all of my money. I believe the project ended up using about $2.2 billion, which in modern money would be like $30 billion. You know, through inflation and shit. It was very interesting. Very interesting. They started off with what is it? Los Alamos? Yeah, they started off with Los Alamos and making a prototype for the bomb. It was a project led by, who was it? Lieutenant General Leslie Groves. He was obviously a general.
A lieutenant.
He was a lieutenant general. Yes. The government gives him a call one night, and he's already kind of heard the rumors about the scientists coming over and what they're talking about, and he's told that he's getting assigned to the project, and he's like, shit. I'm the guy to do this thing. Great. And he had been traveling through the world, you know, through different war endeavors and operations. So he's met quite a few people. He's met quite a few scientists, a lot of smart guys, Albert Einstein included. I believe he was one of the refugees that mentioned the idea. Yeah, no, he was one of the refugees.
Yeah, so I read about that part. Mm-hmm. And basically he sent a letter to the president saying, like, we have figured out how to do this. The only reason I am telling you to get on this is because the Germans may or may not be working on it as we speak, you know? Mm-hmm. Basically giving them a warning. Mm-hmm. And like, I don't want to do this, but you should do this, you know?
Yeah. I mean, there was a lot of moral dilemmas between scientists, because basically, if the nuke worked, they knew that we were creating our end. I mean, nukes are crazy shit, and whenever we get to hydrogen bomb, oh my lord, dude.
Yeah, hydrogen bombs are not good.
I think one of the biggest nuke was set off by the Soviet Union, and it was a hydrogen bomb, and it was 1,000 times bigger than the little boy. Yeah.
I thought America made the hydrogen bomb.
We did. We made it first. We didn't make the biggest.
Oh, okay.
Well, because eventually we were like, hey, we shouldn't make nukes. We shouldn't be testing nukes, you know. They were like, there was a lot of moral dilemmas once they realized the side effects and consequences. But
like, fuck it, we'll drop it in the ocean.
That was more of a military testing. The Navy got upset, but that'll be later on.
Yeah, but I'm saying is they're just like, fuck Atlantis, we'll just tell them we're testing a nuke and just wipe out the population. You know what I mean?
The problem was they weren't thinking about the radiation, man. They just weren't.
I mean, I feel like they should have.
They weren't. They didn't really know the side effects. They knew that there was going to be radiation. They just didn't know how intense until it happened. Oh, I was talking about the scientists. Groves, he knew a lot of scientists, and he called them up and he was like, hey, I got this project. I can't really tell you much. I can't give you a whole lot of details, especially over the phone, but I need a gadget. That was the code name for the prototype, was the gadget. Everyone called it the gadget. You couldn't say anything related to it. But, he got a bunch of them to come over, and amongst them was, Robert Oppenheimer. Oppenheimer was the main scientist, the father of the nuke, the bringer of death. I don't remember all the names that they used there, but stay right there real quick. He looked through all the scientists and he was like, I need a head scientist. I need one guy to stand out to lead everybody. and he eventually came across.
Power off.
He eventually came across Robert Oppenheimer, and he was like, this guy is submissive. This guy listens. This guy is going to do what I say, and he's going to do what it takes to get it done. I mean, simple as that is. I mean, problem is, what all the other generals and other scientists were worried about is how much of a communist Oppenheimer was. He had a lot of communist history, a lot of communist association, and they were panicking because they were like, this dude's going to be the head of the bomb. He's going to know every detail about this thing. What if he just goes to the Soviet Union and tells them how to do it? Tells them all the flaws so that they can figure out how to do it better without having to go through the flaw process, you know? They were freaking out about that, but eventually he's like, no, it's Oppenheimer. He's going to lead the project. I think I already mentioned how much they spent on it. Yeah, with all this funding, the General and Oppenheimer pretty much could purchase whatever they want back then. It was equivalent to $30 billion right now.
Didn't they do it in silver? Like actual silver?
They started with silver, but realized its flaws, I believe. I believe they ended up switching to copper. I believe. I don't think I put that down. That was a minuscule detail I didn't think was interesting.
Well, I thought it was cool, alright?
It is, I guess. I just, my brain didn't
Ain't
think
that
it
what
was.
we're here for? To
We
talk
are.
about the things
The thing
people don't talk about so that they know.
You're right. You're correct. I'm sorry, sir.
Link in them down below.
All the links.
All
of them.
We
There's
got like an Instagram. We got a Twitter.
Like a Facebook, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. TikTok.
TikTok. Yeah. Tiki-talkie.
I think that's everything that's down there as of current time.
But as you were saying.
I don't even know. You rudely interrupted.
Sorry, I just thought it was a good time.
Groves eventually finds this place out in the middle of buttfuck nowhere. There's mountains around, there's trees everywhere, and there's just a farm out there, a little ranch. And he cops this land, and he's like, this is your place, Oppenheimer. This is where it's gonna go down. This is where the atom will be figured out how to split it. And basically overnight, the farm became a town. There was a total of over 100,000 people that worked on the project in this little secret town, what they called it.
So, whose farm and how did they not know?
They bought the farm. The people were selling the property. They bought it, and nobody ever knew. Nobody, actually, not that they talked about it, but I believe there was a university, a private school, put on it as like to help the cover up. But the school was never involved in any of it, and I think the school shut down, and they used it as the lab.
I want to see if this town is still around. Like, what's the
It
name
is.
of it?
I believe it is. It's Dustin, could you scroll down a little bit? I put the name of the town in there. Nope. I think it was Oak Ridge, Tennessee, or something. I'm not seeing it. Just go back
Wait,
up.
scroll up. I think I saw what you were talking about.
Pooh stain?
Yep.
Keep going.
Germany.
Los
Alamos. Yeah, well, it's fine.
Tennessee.
It's Tennessee, and I believe it was
It was Oak Ridge.
Oak Ridge. Okay.
Yeah. It opened in 1944 and closed in 1946 with over 800 students.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think it was from 46 to 47. They did a lot of their testing there. They did a lot of the
children's museum.
yeah. I believe at this point the general has he's gotten the 509th Bomb Brigade, And he's got all these scientists, he's got all these military people around, and they're all working on this project, right? But they're not allowed to intertalk about what they're doing. Like, if you're buddies with somebody and you're in two different departments, you're not talking about what you're working on. Nobody really knew that they were making a nuke. The only people that knew were like the people constructing the device, like the shell, and the people that were like heads of some of the departments. But most everyone there did not know what the fuck was going on.
I feel like it was kind of one of those situations like nobody knows, but everybody actually knows and nobody knows that they really know.
They all knew that something weird, something life-changing was happening. I mean, this had popped up overnight.
Yeah.
And now they were living there 24/7. They were living very primitive. Like, they were living like old Western times. Like, that's how they were living. They were riding on horses. They lived off the land. They weren't allowed to have outside world contact. It was just, that's all they had, was that town and what they were provided.
They did have cars, though.
They did?
They did. They also had lie detector tests that were administered as a part of security screening.
They probably did that to see if they could, beat the test. So if they were to get kidnapped by a Soviet, to see if they could be like, hook me up to a lie detector, I'll fucking break that shit.
Alright, now.
Okay.
Did you give the Germans the recipe for a nuke?
No.
He's good. He's good.
Das ist gut.
Das ist gut. Wait.
Shit!
Scheiße!
Shit. Speaking of Germans,
There was a German dude. Yeah, his name was Klaus Fox.
Klaus Fox.
Yeah, Mr. Fox.
Yes. Mr. Fox was a German theoretical physicist and spy. He worked on that Los Alamos project, and he gave information to the Soviet Union.
Los Alamos, by the way, is the ground of the gadget. That's where it was dropped eventually. This is ground zero. This is where the first nuke drops and successfully goes off.
Bad things.
But
sand
but
into glass.
Yeah.
It was bad, but it was good at the same time. I'll get on that later. That's the political side of things.
I wonder how many pizzas it took for them to figure out which one was going to be perfectly cooked.
I don't know, man.
Several, I'm sure.
You're probably right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, hey, I thought of something. I told you about this. Okay, so on the ranch, the town that popped up, the Oppenheimer, he would throw parties, right? And he would spike the punch with 100% chemical grade alcohol. They were getting lit. They were partying hard, dude. Like, he gave them a lot of luxuries while they were there. Like, it wasn't just work on the bomb that they didn't know about.
I mean, yeah, they were making a nuke. They were like, gotta do something for them.
Yeah.
You know?
Fair enough.
But sorry to interrupt. Sorry.
That about covered what I had to say. Guess we could talk about how bad the bomb was.
Well, so Klaus was working on the project, and they started making a device which is basically just a sphere with wires all along the outside of it to set off certain things at certain times. They started off with plutonium. That's right. They started off with the plutonium, and what they wanted to do was what they called a gun mechanism. Basically, they wanted a cup of plutonium and a ball of plutonium, and they wanted to shoot them at each other so that it creates pressure on the inside and it explodes. And all the particles start splitting rapidly to cause a lot of energy to go off all at once.
And that's just the ignition. That's not the actual bomb. That's just used to start the bomb, to light the fuse, basically. Yeah.
Yes. They started off with the plutonium with the gun the gun mechanism, but eventually they figured out that wasn't going to work. That the mechanism was going to get too hot, and the bomb would melt before it actually went off. So they panicked, and they're like, fuck. And I guess something I'm missing out on letting you guys in on, it takes years to collect enough resources to make a nuke. At least back then it did. Because you make plutonium-239 one molecule at a time. You take plutonium-25, think of the number as like a grade of it. The higher the number, the better the grade of the compound. So they are pulling one molecule at a time off of plutonium to make this higher grade plutonium. It takes years. Making the nuke didn't happen overnight. It took a long time to gather all this material to make something so devastating. The little boy was made out of uranium 235. It was supposed to be a bullet-like projectile, meaning it was shaped like a bullet, so it would be more aerodynamic. Or no, I think that's talking about the bullet mechanism, but it was also shaped like a bullet, to be honest. It was fired, the uranium was fired at the core of the same substance to set off the chain reaction. The Fat Man, on the other hand, used a core of plutonium. Oh, so I mixed it around. The uranium was used for the gun one. The plutonium was used, basically they put a bunch of bombs around it. They put the plutonium in the middle, and they put a bunch of explosives around it so it would explode inward, taking the plutonium and scrunching it down to the point where it got so pressurized that it would implode.
Just imagine, like, sir, I can't get this bomb to blow up. Have you tried using more bombs?
Dude, they're like, I can't get it to work, sir. I'll blow it up.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, it was crazy shit, but they're working on the little boy. They wanted it done first because it was a smaller project, and I believe they ended up going with they ended up using the plutonium one for the first test, the gadget. They make this device, and they set up a metal kind of structure, like think of like an old not a windmill, but like the things to see how fast the wind's blowing in which direction, like an old metal stand with the fucking propellers and the tail fin. Okay.
With the chicken on top in the northeast.
Yeah. It's like that, but massive, and holding a ball. I mean, a massive ball that's covered in wires, and they drop it. I think they were. I forget how far away they were sitting. I don't think we necessarily put that down, but they were miles away waiting. They were miles away watching, and they drop it, it hits the ground, and it works. It blows up. Let's see. The device was affixed to a 100-foot tower and discharged just before dawn. There was a problem. Oh yeah, it was it got cloudy. So they couldn't really, they were like, we want maximum visibility to be able to see what's going on, to test things, to know exactly what's going on. They didn't want any outside variables to affect it. Oh yeah, none of them necessarily knew what was going to happen. They knew that there was going to be a boom. They knew it was going to be big. But they didn't know how big, and they didn't know what it was going to do to the area.
Just imagine being one of the first people to see a mushroom cloud.
Yeah, no, they were...
It's a big thing.
Yeah, no, a lot of them were astonished because they were so amazed, the scientists that were watching, of how far away they were and how the nuke on their face felt like the morning sun. How the light coming from it looked like the morning sun. Like how remarkably hot and bright and big it was. They just were blown away. They drop it. It goes boom. The metal tower evaporates. The sand around it turns to glass. It's that fucking hot. Not even big. It gets that hot, and the radiation is so powerful that it just instantly melts the molecules of the sand into glass.
I've heard a long time ago that if you're standing at the end of the air blast, but like still in the radiation zone, if you look at it as it goes off, you'll be able to see objects and people's faces and things because the light's so bright. It's like
like the
TV
shadows.
Screen. You see like a bright light on a TV screen when you turn it off, where somebody's face was, or like an ad. You see a ghost image.
What do they call that? Screen burn.
Yeah.
Screen burn. Yeah.
Pretty much like that, and you see it coming towards you, and then it's bright, and then it's flashbang, you know?
That's fucked up. Yeah, I think this... Do you want to read that right there? A blinding flash?
Oh, yeah. A blinding flash visible for 200 miles lit up the morning sky. A mushroom cloud reached 40,000 feet, blowing out windows of civilian homes up to 100 miles away. When the cloud returned to Earth, it created a half-mile wide crater, metamorphosizing sand into glass. A bogus cover-up story was quickly released, explaining that was a huge ammunition dump had just exploded in the desert. Soon, word reached President Truman in Potsdam, Germany, that the project was successful.
Yeah, Truman was president at the time. They got the plutonium bomb to work, and then, like you mentioned earlier about the silver, they ended up switching to copper, they did, I forget the alteration that they made to the little boy, but they made it work, obviously. So they get both bombs to work. They assume they work anyways. They just have them ready, and the problem is Hitler gets defeated. You know, Hitler falls. We attack and he kills self, supposedly. Personally, I believe he went to Argentina.
Argentina?
Yeah.
Why Argentina?
That's where the government said he was. Or not that's not where they said he was. That's where they believe he was. That was like their top place. After Hitler killed himself, they kept operations going to find him, even though they supposedly had the Soviet Union supposedly had the body. But with that, I think we're gonna take a break, go piss, possibly, do extracurricular activities,
homework.
Yep.
Research for whatever else we talk about.
Hey. Yeah, you know what time it is. It's time for you to go to the bathroom. Think about what you've done. I know what you did yesterday. It's kind of scary, kind of creepy, and actually kind of. Anyways, go to the bathroom, get yourself a drink, listen to the podcast. It's goofy, it's grouchy, it's honestly spectacular. Don't think anything's better, actually, except for Crime Junkies. Yeah. Alright, back to the gabagoo.
Welcome back. Productive little break. Where was Truman? Yeah, I was talking about Truman. Roosevelt started this whole thing. He was very much an aggressive man. He was the guy that said something along the lines with carrying a big stick. Hang
on. I know it. Speak softly, but carry a big stick.
There you go. Have a big dick. That's what he said.
That's exactly what he said. Yep, pretty much.
Roosevelt, he passes away, and Truman takes over. Truman is forced to learn about this project. He had no clue. The only person that really knew about it was Roosevelt himself and everyone that was in charge of it. Or wait, actually, I believe Kennedy started. Yeah, no. Kennedy started it. Roosevelt was the one that started actually working on it. Actually, deciding on to drop the bomb. That's what it was. Roosevelt was trying to bomb Germany. He wanted to wipe them out because they were being, naughty little boys.
Bad dudes.
Truman gets in office. He learns about all this, and he's now left with the decision on what to do with the bombs. And he doesn't necessarily want to have to use them. See, the whole point of having the nukes wasn't even necessarily to use them. It's... A lot of people looked at it as having a bigger gun keeps the peace. I mean, that's what the whole Cold War was. Who could make the biggest weapon? Who controlled the power? I mean, who had the bigger gun that not necessarily kept the peace, but kept everyone at bay? Everyone was looking at them like, okay, we don't want to fuck with that guy. If we fuck with anyone that fucks with that guy, we're fucked.
Fair, yeah.
Everybody's got them things.
Yeah, and that's the whole thing, is everyone was trying to get him. We came up with it first. We started making, we got the bombs, and they got the bombs made, right? And then they started making other nuclear reactive other bombs. Not as big scale, though. They made several things. They made a lot of things for everyday life that were nuclearly powered.
Nuclearly.
Mm-hmm. Like they used it for everything during the atomic age. Like once the bomb dropped, that's what they considered the atomic age. Everyone was Fallout. It's very much the Fallout games vibe. That's what it was.
And then eventually they made fucking microwaves.
Eventually, but you know what they made, Tyler and Chevy?
I don't.
They made a motherfucking rocket launcher nuke. That was real. Yeah, they made a rocket launcher that shot a nuke.
Like Fallout?
Yeah.
That's sick.
What was the gun called?
In Fallout, it was the Fat Man.
The Fat Man. Yeah, just like the real bomb that we ended up dropping. But yeah, no, the nuke RPG was a real thing, and they tested it. They never used it, but they tested it, and it worked, and it was a good bomb.
Would it or would it not kill the person shooting it?
I don't believe it would. Because unless you're too close, that's the problem. Is it worked, but you would have to be so far away that it was almost obsolete because you wouldn't be that accurate. It's an RPG. You fucking set it on your shoulder, point in a general direction, and hope you fucking hit anyways. Now you got to be like 3 times the distance away. You can't put a scope on an RPG.
You can.
Make a better rocket.
Put a 4 times scope on there and try. I'd like to see that. They talked about making something else too. They talked about making nuclear hand grenades, which you couldn't. No one wanted to use them because
fuck all that, dude.
you couldn't throw it far enough for it to not get you.
Imagine you're carrying one on your belt and the bullet just barely misses you, hits the fucking nuke grenade. What's gonna happen?
You're fucked. Whoever you're next
Well,
to
it
is
would've-
fucked.
Whatever house you're in is fucked.
Well, they could have made it out of a bulletproof material because it's nuclear now. The explosion is much more powerful. They could actually make it out of bulletproof material, and I'm sure everything that was made with the nuclear material was bulletproof. I mean, it just makes sense. Something else they made a backpack bomb. That was nuclear, obviously.
A backpack bomb.
Yeah, the whole thing is if there was a giant fleet of tanks or ground forces, and you could sneak in and get this bomb backpack in there, and it would have a timer, and it would go off. And you could take out a whole fleet. One guy. Take out a whole fleet. That was the idea. They actually, I don't know if they actually got to use it in war, but they planned on it. It was made, a bunch of them were made, and they were gonna.
It kind of sounds like how they did in World War II, where they'd have 4 people take on a tank like by themselves with just their guns, like no.
Guns and not anti-tank, but fucking bombs that were made to pierce tanks. You know?
Yeah, they'd run up, throw mines under them, fucking shoot at the little cracks, and have another guy with a machine gun pointing at it. Yeah, we
have them lawn dart looking bombs that they're sticking on it. Yeah, good shit. But now imagine all of that, but nuclear.
Yeah, right.
That's what they were doing. That's anything that they can make nuclear, they did it. That's how it was.
That
But
sounds like a fun time. Yeah.
it sounds fun to watch. But
Take me back to the times of asbestos and nukes. Take me there.
the good old days.
The good old days.
When acid was pure. Oh, sorry, I didn't mean to. So I guess we can talk about what we did with the bombs. I'm sure we all know. We take down Germany, and Japan goes, we're still in the fight. We're going to do what Germany was doing and be a one-man army, just take everyone on. Well, they're doing all this bullshit. They won't surrender. They ended up getting invaded by the Soviet Union, and they just kept saying, no, we're not surrendering, even though they had Soviet troops all throughout their area. I mean, they were being resilient, and they kamikazed. I mean, as horrible as that is, they'd rather die than be captured. That was their mindset. That was their belief. They'd rather die than be captured. And not a lot. There was a few that ended up surviving. There was one guy that did the Pearl Harbor incident, and he survived, and he was like basically shunned. They didn't acknowledge he existed.
Kamikaze pilot?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. He landed and he didn't die. And because he failed to die, he was shamed. With sad stuff.
Damn.
Yeah. Well, I guess now that that's brought up, Pearl Harbor happened. They decided, hey, we're gonna go poke that guy.
Yeah. Poke
That's what
the
we're
bear
gonna
with the nuke.
That's what we're gonna. Well, poke the bear that has the nuke. Yeah, that makes sense. But they bombed Pearl Harbor, thinking that it was gonna destroy our fleet. Well, it did some damage, and we got pissed. And what do? We dropped the little one, and we dropped it on Hiroshima.
No, the bigger one was dropped on Hiroshima.
Yeah, no. We dropped it on Nagasaki. Yeah, the little boy was dropped on Nagasaki, and then we dropped the fat man on Hiroshima. Absolutely devastating. After years of, not years of, years later, there was a lot of discovery of the radiation and what it actually can do. We didn't know. It didn't really, that highly concentrated amount of radiation had never really been seen up until we went nuclear. So we continue, we bombed them, and now it's a matter of us v. the Soviet Union, who can have the biggest bomb. And as we're developing, better bombs, we develop a hydrogen bomb. Pretty big. It's really big.
I'd say.
And the Navy gets a little turnt, right? There's the Army and there's the Navy during that time. And the Air Force, per se, was incorporated with the Army. Now, the Navy was upset, like, why does the Army get to control nukes and we don't get any? We don't have one. And so they do a little contest, basically, to see whether it was better to have nukes on the ships or in the air. And they did a public viewing of the nuke going off, and they basically bombed a ship, and it didn't really do much. It didn't take out as much as they were hoping or whatever.
It was a fleet of ships.
It was, yeah. I think it was 80 ships at a time. But the first one, it only took out like a couple ships, a handful. That wasn't shit. We could do that with non-nuclear bombs for much cheaper. Now, the next time, they put the bomb underwater. And it goes boom, takes out 40 ships. And they were like, okay, that's pretty impressive, but is it worth the amount of money and time it takes to make a nuke? I don't know. That's what they thought. Well, then what do? They start going back on their ships, and the general's freaking out. He's like, no, you guys can't, no, they're contaminated because they're using their, I don't know, it's a little box with an antenna thing, and they're like, and there's radiation all over the ships and in the water, but they weren't thinking about that. All the people, all the Navy officers that were on the ships, they're like, fuck you, we're getting on our fucking ship and we're going home. This was a failure, we're going home. Well, what they ceased to realize was the consequences of radiation. Eventually, most of the ships stopped working. They gained mechanical problems, and they were just drenched in radiation. Well, what do? I saw a video. They start spraying it with ocean water, right? The ocean water that's contaminated with radiation. And they're like, yeah, this will be alright. This will be good. They managed to salvage most of the ships. There was a few that got too contaminated or just wouldn't function ever again. And they decided, yeah, this is best to leave with the Army for now. With
The fish.
With the Air Force, technically.
The fish.
The fish?
The fish that with the X-ray.
Oh, yeah, there was, the
That's how
general...
they convinced them to leave.
Yeah, the general was freaking out. They were all trying to, be like, no, we're taking our ships home, just trying to clean them. And then the general's like, alright, look at this shit. And he pulls a fish out of the water, and he slaps it down, and he takes the film that they would use for x-rays. Generally, they have to use, radiation to make it to where they can see your bones. He literally held it above the fish, pulled it up, and there was the x-ray. That's how contaminated the fish was after that.
They were just full of plutonium.
And that's when all the head officers of the ship started going, alright, boys, we need to calm down. We need to listen. We need to abandon.
Alright, the man of science has spoken. Let's listen to him.
He wasn't even a man of science, dude. It was the general.
Some dude?
It was just the general. He was like, guys, you don't understand. I've looked at the scientist shit. This isn't a good idea. You guys don't need to be on there. You're gonna die. Or you're gonna have long-lasting effects that aren't good. Cancer! Not good. Not good. Not something to joke about either. Not funny.
When you're trying not to laugh in class.
That went on, the Navy Army kind of battle thing. Then it's pretty much just the Cold War. Both us, the US, and the Soviet Union were going back and forth, trying to, make bigger bombs than each other, and eventually the Soviet Union kind of makes a bigger bomb. But after that, we make a treaty. The treaty basically says we're not going to do any more testing in the water or on ground, on on surface level. We weren't going to do it in the atmosphere because of the
radiation.
Yeah, what is it called? The
fallout.
Yeah, the fallout, the radiation showers. The Soviet Union was trying to make a base, a whole military operation in Cuba. They were trying to put nukes in Cuba so that it was closer to us. So basically, like minutes, not even minutes, couple minutes, and we'd be dead.
Right.
The nukes would be that close. It
Cuban
wouldn't take
Missile
long.
Crisis.
You wouldn't have enough time to try and stop it. You just wouldn't. Well, eventually we decipher some shit. We figure out that they're trying to set up in Cuba, and we stop them. You know, we were like, hey, nah, none of that shit. We tried to get them to fucking turn off the bomb, basically. Destroy them. But they didn't want to unless we did it first. Which is like, yeah, I'll put my gun down, you put yours down first. Like, no. But I think eventually we come to a conclusion. Some bombs were put in the ocean. Like, yeah, they not the ocean, in water. They just put them in the bottom of a pond or something. They're just kind of there chilling. I think they might have gone back and done something with them. I don't know. Yeah, that's
an interesting thing.
It
That's something
is.
I want to talk about sometime.
yeah.
There's
Yeah,
a lot of weird shit that happened.
yeah, there was a lot of operations. Like, mostly what people know about the Cold War is it was an arms race, but there was a lot more physical interactions that happened that don't get talked about. A lot of spycrafts, fucking just operations going in and preventing things from happening. Like, it's just crazy shit that you only see in the movies, but it actually happens, you know. Conspiracy bullshits. Is that everything we've got for Manhattan Project off the mind? Is there any...
Yeah, I think so.
Let's see, do I remember any fun facts? No,
Doesn't
nothing.
seem like
Yeah,
it.
nothing that I want to try and think about too much. Yeah,
If you didn't know, you now know.
yeah. Is there
Talking
any?
about the things nobody talks about.
Is there any like recent things that any like local, not local, but recent news, big things going on? Okay.
Chinese balloons.
Chinese balloons.
Oh.
What the fuck?
What the fuck? Yeah, pretty much.
What do you elaborate? There you go. Elaborate.
Big ass like balloons. that
Like a
can-
weather balloon?
Yes.
Okay.
But
I
it's
think they can be
got
controlled.
spies
I don't
in
know.
Like a drone?
Probably.
Okay.
But they're floating over America right now. That's about all I know about them.
Okay. Thank you, Tyler. Thank you for sharing. Hell, we could talk about. We could talk about anything. This is our closing portion. Nothing.
I got nothing good. Nothing
good.
interesting.
I invested in a video game. I did.
As did I.
Hogwarts Legacy.
Oh, what a nerd.
I know.
Really?
I'm not a
I bought it twice.
I'm not a huge Harry Potter nerd, but the game itself sounds like it's gonna be a fun time. Fucking Avada Kedavra! Like that kind of shit. Like Dustin was telling me the Avada Kedavra, the kill spell, the insta kill shit. It's still gonna be overpowered in the game.
It's still an insta kill.
Yeah,
Nice.
it's not going to be like a really strong. It's literally insta kill. Which I don't know if you guys have watched any of the Harry Potter things or read any of the books.
May have called you a nerd, but yes.
Okay, I was gonna say I
I had none.
don't read, but I did watch the
I
movies.
know.
It's interesting stuff, just wizardry and Voldemort, fucking the boy who lived to die. Just goofy
Boy
shit.
who lived to die.
Or boy who
Who lived has come to die.
the boy who
cried
lived has
wolf.
come to die. There you go.
Yeah, the one that cried wolf.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's. I don't got nothing else on my brain. I don't got no rants to go through. I guess we will see you next week.
Mm-hmm.
Bye bye.